Have you ever noticed how some women walk into a room and time seems to hesitate for a second, like it's trying to remember the rules? They're not louder, they're not trying harder, they're not pretending to be younger, yet something about them feels untouched, steady, alive. It makes you wonder if youth is less about years and more about how a woman chooses to live inside her own skin. There's a kind of tiredness that doesn't come from long days or hard work. It comes from fighting life. From waking up every morning already braced for impact, already tense, already expecting resistance. And over time, that battle leaves marks, not just on the mind, but on the body, on the face, on the spirit. Women who look younger, who carry that quiet glow that makes people pause, usually figured something out early or learned it after being broken a few times. They stopped fighting everything. Alignment isn't about giving up. It's about understanding where your energy actually belongs. When a woman lives in alignment, she's not pushing against the current just to prove she's strong. She knows strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it exhales. Sometimes it steps back and says, "This isn't mine to carry." And that decision made once, then again, changes the way the body holds itself. Shoulders drop, breath deepens, the nervous system settles, and the face softens in a way no product can replicate. Science backs this up, even if it doesn't use spiritual language. Chronic resistance triggers stress, and stress floods the body with cortisol. Over time, cortisol breaks down collagen, disrupts sleep, weakens immunity, and accelerates aging. But alignment calms that storm. When a woman accepts reality as it is, not as defeat, but as a starting point, the body shifts from survival mode into repair. Healing happens quietly, cell by cell. You can see it in her eyes. They're not scanning for danger anymore. They're present. I once knew a woman who spent years trying to control everything: her career, her relationships, how others saw her. She was successful, driven, admired, but she looked exhausted. Then something changed, not overnight. She left a job that drained her. She stopped explaining herself to people who had already decided not to understand. She started listening to that small voice inside instead of drowning it out with noise. Within a year, people began asking her what she'd done differently. She smiled and said, "I stopped arguing with life." She didn't look younger because time reversed. She looked younger because tension released its grip. Alignment shows up in small, ordinary choices, choosing rest when the body asks for it instead of pushing through out of guilt, choosing honesty over performance, choosing to walk away from situations that require you to betray yourself just to belong. Every time a woman honors what feels true for her, she sends a signal inward: you're safe. And when the body feels safe, it stops aging in panic. Resistance, on the other hand, is loud. It sounds like forcing outcomes, like holding on to relationships long after they've gone cold, like living by expectations that were never yours. Resistance tightens the jaw, furrows the brow, speeds up the heart. It keeps the body in a constant state of readiness, as if danger is always just around the corner. Over years, that readiness becomes wear. Lines deepen, energy drains, not because life is cruel, but because the fight never stops. Women who live in alignment understand something simple and profound. Not everything requires a reaction. They know when to act and when to allow, when to speak and when silence is strength. That discernment saves energy, and saved energy turns into vitality. It becomes presence. It becomes that unexplainable youth people notice but can't quite define. There's also an emotional honesty that comes with alignment. These women don't suppress what they feel, but they don't drown in it either. They let emotions move through them like weather, not permanent residents. Anger passes. Grief is honored. Joy is welcomed fully without suspicion. This emotional flow prevents stagnation, and stagnation, whether emotional or physical, is what makes things decay. You'll notice aligned women aren't rushed. Even when they're busy, there's a steadiness to them. They're not chasing approval or running from fear. They move with intention. Their laughter comes easier. Their expressions are real, not guarded. They don't wear masks so heavy they forget their own face underneath. And that authenticity, lived daily, keeps them vibrant. There's a spiritual element here that doesn't require belief in anything specific. It's the understanding that life works with you when you stop treating it like an enemy, that your body responds when you listen instead of command, that peace isn't found in control, but in cooperation. Women who align with this truth stop aging from the inside out. Their inner world becomes lighter, and the outer world reflects it. Alignment also means releasing the need to be everywhere, do everything, and prove worth through exhaustion. These women know their value isn't measured by how much they endure. They say no without apology. They choose simplicity when complexity adds no meaning. That restraint preserves their energy, and preserved energy is youth. When you look at a woman like this, you don't just see fewer lines or brighter eyes. You see ease. You see someone who trusts herself enough to stop resisting who she is, and that trust creates harmony between mind, body, and spirit. Harmony doesn't rush, it doesn't strain, it doesn't age harshly. Living in alignment doesn't mean life stops challenging you. It means you stop making every challenge a war. You learn when to step forward and when to step aside, when to hold on and when to let go. That wisdom earned through experience becomes visible. It becomes grace. It becomes that timeless quality people mistake for youth. And the truth is, alignment is available at any moment. It starts the instant a woman decides to stop betraying herself for the comfort of others. The instant she chooses peace over proving. The instant she listens and acts accordingly. From that point on, time changes how it touches her. Not softer necessarily, but kinder. There's a difference between moving through life and moving towards something. You can feel it when you're around a woman who has a sense of purpose. There's a quiet focus in her eyes, like she knows where she's going even if the path isn't fully mapped out yet. She isn't rushing, but she isn't drifting either. And somehow, that inner direction gives her a kind of youth that no mirror can explain. Purpose does something powerful to a human being. It organizes the chaos. It gives weight to effort and meaning to sacrifice. Without it, days blur together. Energy leaks out in 1,000 directions. The body feels heavy because the spirit has nowhere to go. But when a woman is connected to her purpose, her energy gathers. It sharpens. It moves with intention, and that intention shows up physically in posture, in expression, in vitality. Research has tried to put numbers to this. Long-term studies, including those on longevity and mental health, show that people who believe their lives have meaning live longer, experience less depression, and maintain better cognitive and physical health as they age. But you don't need data to recognize it. You've seen it in real life. The grandmother who still wakes up early because she volunteers at the community center. The artist who loses track of time because creation makes her feel alive. The mother who finds strength she didn't know she had because someone depends on her love. Purpose keeps people moving forward, and movement, real movement, keeps them young. Women who look younger often aren't obsessed with staying young. They're focused on staying useful, on contributing, on becoming more of who they are, not less. Their purpose doesn't have to be grand or public. Sometimes it's deeply personal, healing from the past, breaking generational patterns, becoming the woman they once needed. That kind of purpose burns quietly, but it burns steady, and a steady inner fire warms the whole being. There's something grounding about knowing why you wake up in the morning. Even on hard days, purpose gives pain context. It turns suffering into something survivable. When a woman understands that what she's doing matters to someone, to something, her nervous system responds differently to stress. Instead of collapsing under pressure, she adapts. She recovers faster, and that resilience slows the wear and tear that time leaves behind. You can see it in how she handles setbacks. Purpose doesn't make life easier, but it makes it clearer. When things fall apart, she doesn't interpret it as the end of her worth. She asks, "What is this teaching me?" Or, "How does this redirect me?" That mindset protects her from bitterness, and bitterness is one of the fastest ways to age the spirit. When bitterness takes hold, it hardens the face and dims the eyes. Purpose keeps the heart open, even when it's been hurt. There's also joy in purposeful living that feels different from pleasure. It's deeper, quieter, more lasting. It comes from knowing your efforts are aligned with your values. Women connected to purpose don't measure their lives by applause. They measure it by integrity. And living in integrity reduces internal conflict. When your actions match your values, there's less inner friction, less self-betrayal, less exhaustion. The body responds to that harmony with energy. I once met a woman who left a high-paying job to work in a small nonprofit. People told her she was crazy. The hours were longer. The resources were fewer, but she looked lighter, brighter. Years later, she still did. She told me, "I'm tired sometimes, but I'm never empty." That's the difference. Purpose can exhaust the body, but it nourishes the soul, and a nourished soul reflects youth outward. Purpose also evolves. Women who stay young understand that who they are at 20 isn't who they're meant to be forever. They allow their purpose to shift as they grow. What doesn't change is the commitment to meaning. When one chapter ends, they don't cling to it out of fear. They ask what the next chapter requires. That flexibility keeps them alive to possibility. And possibility is energizing. It keeps curiosity active. It keeps the mind engaged. Curiosity, like purpose, resists aging. Without purpose, life can start to feel repetitive. Wake up, get through the day, sleep, repeat. That kind of existence slowly drains color from the world, but purpose adds contrast. It makes even ordinary moments feel connected to something larger. A conversation becomes an opportunity. A challenge becomes a test of character. A quiet moment becomes a reminder of why it all matters. That sense of connection keeps the spirit from shrinking. Women who maintain a deep connection to purpose also tend to take better care of themselves, not out of vanity, but out of respect. When your life matters, you protect the vessel that carries it. You rest when you need to. You recover. You don't abuse your body to escape your mind. Purpose creates responsibility, and that responsibility extends inward. You can't fake this kind of youth. It doesn't come from chasing trends or denying age. It comes from waking up each day with a reason to engage fully with life. From knowing that your presence makes a difference somewhere, even if no one sees it. That knowledge straightens the spine. It steadies the breath. It gives the eyes clarity. And maybe that's the real secret. Purpose keeps a woman facing forward, not stuck in regret, not frozen by fear, facing forward toward growth, toward contribution, toward meaning. Time moves on, but she moves with it, not against it. And when someone moves with life, instead of dragging their feet through it, life leaves fewer marks behind. There comes a moment in life when a woman realizes that not every battle deserves her energy. It's not a loud realization. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or applause. It comes quietly, often after years of giving too much, explaining too much, tolerating too much. And when that moment arrives, something shifts. She stops handing out pieces of herself to every situation that demands a reaction. She starts protecting her inner peace, not passively, not timidly, but with intention, with strength, with clarity. And that choice changes everything. Inner peace isn't softness. It's not weakness. It's discipline. It's knowing what disrupts your balance and refusing to let it take root. Women who look younger, who carry a calm presence that feels almost timeless, didn't get there by accident. They earned it. Often through chaos, often through heartbreak, often through learning the hard way that constant emotional turbulence leaves scars deeper than anything time could carve into the skin. Stress has a voice. It tightens the jaw. It shortens the breath. It keeps the body on alert as if danger is always imminent. Science calls it chronic activation of the nervous system. The body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an emotional one. When a woman lives surrounded by conflict, negativity, or unresolved tension, her system stays in survival mode. Over time, that survival mode becomes her baseline, and survival ages you. It steals sleep. It disrupts hormones. It drains the face of softness and the eyes of light. Women who protect their inner peace learn to step out of that constant state of defense. They choose calm not because life is calm, but because they refuse to let chaos define them. They understand that peace isn't found in the absence of problems, but in the presence of boundaries. Strong, clear, unapologetic boundaries. There's a woman I once knew who was always available, always listening, always fixing, always absorbing the emotional weight of everyone around her. She was kind, compassionate, exhausted. You could see it in her posture, in the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. One day, she stopped answering every call. She stopped engaging in conversations that went nowhere. She stopped trying to save people who didn't want saving. And within months, something changed. Her face softened. Her laughter returned. People said she looked different. She was. She had reclaimed her peace. Protecting inner peace means understanding that you don't owe everyone access to your emotional world. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to defend your choices to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to carry guilt for choosing what keeps you whole. That realization alone lifts an invisible weight from the body. Emotional stress doesn't just stay in the mind. It lives in the muscles, in the gut, in the breath. When a woman learns to say no, to disengage, to step away from environments that drain her, the body responds almost immediately. Shoulders relax, digestion improves, sleep deepens. These aren't small changes. They're signs that the body finally feels safe enough to rest. Women who protect their peace are often misunderstood. They're called distant, cold, changed. But the truth is simpler. They've changed their priorities. They've learned that peace is not something you find after everything is resolved. It's something you choose, even when things are unresolved. Especially then, there's a quiet confidence that comes from this choice. When a woman no longer reacts to every provocation, she gains power, emotional power. She becomes steady, grounded, harder to shake. That steadiness shows in how she moves through the world. She doesn't rush, she doesn't panic. She responds instead of reacts, and response is always younger than reaction. Reaction is automatic, draining, repetitive. Response is conscious, deliberate, efficient. Inner peace also protects a woman from the slow erosion of resentment. Resentment builds when boundaries are ignored, often by others, but sometimes by ourselves. When a woman consistently sacrifices her peace to keep others comfortable, resentment takes root, and resentment hardens. It creates sharp edges inside. Over time, those edges show on the outside. Women who guard their peace catch resentment early. They adjust, they speak up, or they step away. Either way, they don't let bitterness settle in. There's also a spiritual maturity in knowing what to let go of. Not every disappointment needs to be analyzed endlessly. Not every insult needs to be internalized. Not every loss needs to define the rest of your life. Women who protect their peace allow emotions to move through them without building a permanent home. They grieve, they feel, they process, but they don't cling. That ability to release keeps the spirit light. You can see it in their faces. There's less tension, less bracing against the world, more openness, more softness without fragility. It's a paradox. By protecting themselves, they become more present, more alive. Peace frees energy, and freed energy becomes vitality. Modern psychology talks about emotional regulation, but long before it had a name, women were practicing it intuitively. Stepping back, breathing, choosing silence over escalation, choosing rest over rumination. These choices accumulate, one calm decision at a time. Over years, they shape not just personality, but appearance. Protecting inner peace also means being selective about input. What you consume matters. Constant negativity, news, gossip, outrage keeps the mind agitated. Women who look younger often limit exposure to what unsettles them. They curate their mental environment the same way they might curate their physical space. Clean, intentional, supportive. This mental hygiene keeps the nervous system from being overloaded. There's strength in disengagement. Walking away from drama isn't avoidance, it's discernment. Knowing what deserves your attention And what doesn't is a form of wisdom that usually comes with age, but when embraced fully, it reverses some of age's effects. Because the body thrives in environments of safety and predictability. Peace creates that environment internally, regardless of what's happening outside. Another truth is that inner peace grows when a woman stops trying to control others. Control is exhausting. It keeps the mind busy, the heart tense, the body on edge. Letting go of control doesn't mean letting go of standards. It means accepting that you can only govern your own actions. That acceptance reduces internal conflict, and reduced conflict preserves energy. There's a moment when a woman realizes that peace feels better than being right, better than winning, better than proving a point. That moment is transformative. It softens the voice. It relaxes the face. It changes how she carries herself. She becomes less reactive, more intentional, and that intention radiates outward. Protecting peace also requires self-trust. Trusting that you don't need to micromanage every outcome. Trusting that walking away won't destroy you. Trusting that silence can be powerful. That trust anchors the nervous system. Anchored systems age differently. They recover faster. They adapt better. They don't stay inflamed by every emotional spark. Women who live this way don't look untouched by life. They look integrated. Their experiences have been processed, not suppressed. There's depth in them, but not heaviness. Their calm isn't naive, it's earned. And that earned calm has a timeless quality. Peace creates space. Space to breathe, space to laugh, space to be fully present. And presence, real presence, is one of the most youthful qualities a person can have. When a woman is fully present, her attention isn't fragmented by worry or resentment. Her energy is focused. That focus makes her feel alive. And aliveness reads as youth. The world will always offer reasons to be unsettled. That never changes. What changes is how much access a woman gives those reasons. Protecting inner peace isn't a one-time decision, it's a daily practice. A choice made in conversations, in relationships, in thought patterns. Each choice reinforces the next. Over time, peace becomes not just a state, but an identity. And when peace becomes part of who she is, it reshapes her from the inside out. Her body stops bracing, her mind stops racing, her spirit stops shrinking. She stands in herself fully, calmly, unapologetically. That steadiness doesn't just slow aging, it transforms how age appears altogether. There's a certain lightness you notice in some women, and it doesn't come from avoiding hardship. It comes from the way they see, the way they pause, the way they let a moment land instead of rushing past it. These women don't wait for perfect circumstances to feel alive. They understand something simple and profound. Life doesn't announce its best moments. It whispers them. And if you're not paying attention, you miss them. Gratitude is not a performance for these women. It's a posture, a way of standing inside the world. They don't deny pain or pretend everything is fine. They've felt loss, disappointment, fatigue. But somewhere along the way, they learned that focusing only on what's missing drains the spirit. So they trained their attention, not toward fantasy, but toward what's already here. Joy, for them, isn't loud. It doesn't demand constant excitement. It shows up in ordinary places. In morning light spilling across the floor, in the warmth of a cup held between both hands, in a familiar song playing at just the right moment. These are small things, but they're not insignificant. They're anchors. They bring the mind back to the present, and presence is where the body relaxes. Science gives language to what these women practice instinctively. Gratitude has been shown to lower stress hormones, improve sleep quality, and reduce inflammation. But beyond the data, there's a felt sense to it. When a woman takes time to notice what's good, even briefly, her nervous system settles, her breath deepens, her muscles soften. And when that happens regularly, it changes how she ages. You can see it in her face. It's not that she has no lines, it's that her lines tell a story of laughter, not tension. Her eyes don't dart around looking for what's wrong. They rest, they engage, they reflect curiosity instead of suspicion. That kind of expression doesn't come from luck. It comes from practice. There's a woman I once met who had been through more loss than most people experience in a lifetime. She had every reason to be hardened. But instead, she noticed birdsong. She noticed the smell of rain on concrete. She noticed the sound of her own laughter when it surprised her. When I asked her how she stayed so open, she said, "If I don't let myself feel the good, the hard parts win twice." That wasn't denial. That was wisdom. Women who embody gratitude don't chase happiness as a destination. They understand it as a byproduct of attention. When you pay attention to what's working, to what's still beautiful, to what's quietly supporting you, joy emerges naturally, and that joy feeds energy back into the system. It becomes renewable fuel. There's something youthful about wonder. Children have it naturally, but adults often trade it for efficiency. These women refuse that trade. They allow themselves to be impressed, to be moved, to be amused by small human things, a shared glance with a stranger, a joke that lands perfectly, the comfort of a well-worn routine. Wonder keeps the mind flexible, and mental flexibility keeps the spirit alive. Gratitude also changes how these women relate to time. They're not always reaching forward or looking back. They're here, now. When you're present, you're not carrying the weight of regret or the anxiety of anticipation. That absence of mental load gives the body room to breathe. Over time, that room becomes resilience. Joy in small moments acts like a pressure release valve. Life builds tension. Responsibilities pile up, expectations press in. But when a woman regularly allows herself to feel joy, even briefly, she discharges that tension. Laughter, even quiet laughter, relaxes the muscles of the face and releases chemicals that counteract stress. These micro releases add up, day after day, year after year. There's also humility and gratitude, a recognition that not everything good was earned through effort alone, that some things arrive through grace, timing, or help. That humility softens a person. It makes them less rigid, less controlling, and rigidity is one of the fastest paths to feeling old. Flexibility, emotional and mental, is what keeps someone vibrant. Women who live this way often have rituals, not elaborate ones, simple ones. A morning pause before the day begins. A moment of silence before sleep. A habit of naming one good thing that happened, no matter how small. These rituals create rhythm, and rhythm is stabilizing. It gives the nervous system something predictable to rest against. Joy also changes how these women connect with others. They're not constantly scanning for threat or disappointment. They're open, available. When they listen, they're really listening. When they smile, it's not polite, it's genuine. That authenticity invites connection, and meaningful connection is deeply nourishing. Humans are wired for it. When we receive it, our bodies respond with relaxation and warmth. There's a misconception that gratitude makes people complacent. These women prove the opposite. They strive, they grow, they push themselves, but they don't postpone appreciation until everything is perfect. They appreciate progress, effort, learning. That balanced perspective keeps ambition from turning into self-punishment, and self-punishment ages a person from the inside. You'll notice that women who embody joy don't complain constantly. That doesn't mean they never speak about challenges. It means they don't rehearse negativity as a habit. Complaining reinforces stress responses. Gratitude interrupts them. Each time a woman chooses to notice something good, she rewires her attention slightly. Over time, those rewires change default patterns. The mind becomes more spacious, less reactive. There's also courage in choosing joy, especially after loss, especially after disappointment. It takes bravery to stay open when it would be easier to shut down. These women choose openness not because it's easy, but because it keeps them alive, and that aliveness has a visible quality. It animates their gestures. It gives warmth to their presence. Joy in small moments doesn't require a perfect life. It requires willingness. Willingness to pause, to notice, to feel. Even when the world feels heavy, these women understand that waiting for life to slow down before enjoying it means waiting forever. So they claim moments as they pass. They collect them quietly, and those collections sustain them. There's a woman who walks the same road every morning, same streets, same trees. Most people would stop seeing it, but she notices how the light shifts with the seasons, how the air feels different, how her own body feels different. That noticing keeps her connected to herself, to time, to change. That connection prevents stagnation, and stagnation is what dulls people. Gratitude also fosters acceptance, not resignation, but acceptance of what is. When a woman accepts the present moment, she stops fighting it. That cessation of inner struggle conserves energy, and conserved energy shows up as vitality, as brightness, as a sense of ease. Women who embody joy don't deny aging. They don't fear it. They don't rush to escape it. They greet it with curiosity. What am I learning now? Who am I becoming? That curiosity replaces dread, and dread has a way of etching itself into the face. Curiosity keeps the face open. Joy doesn't erase hardship. It balances it. It reminds a woman that her life is more than its hardest moments. That balance keeps perspective intact, and perspective is grounding. It keeps emotions from becoming overwhelming. It keeps the nervous system from tipping into chronic stress. There's something deeply human about finding joy in small moments. It reconnects a woman to her senses, to touch, to sound, to sight. Sensory engagement brings the mind into the body, and when the mind is in the body, rather than racing ahead or replaying the past, the body feels inhabited, alive. That aliveness is unmistakable. Over time, this way of living reshapes a woman's relationship with herself. She becomes kinder internally, less harsh, less demanding. That internal kindness reflects outward. Her expressions soften, her presence warms. People feel at ease around her, and ease is magnetic. Joy doesn't shout. It hums. It's steady. It's sustainable. And when a woman lets that hum run through her daily life, it keeps her connected to herself, to others, to the moment she's in. That connection doesn't just make life richer. It makes her appear timeless. The body is often treated like a machine, something to push, to demand from, to fix only when it breaks. But some women relate to their bodies differently. They listen, they respect, they understand that the body is not just something they live in, but something that lives with them. A companion, a witness, a sacred space where every experience leaves a trace, and that relationship changes everything. Women who appear younger don't see their bodies as enemies to conquer or projects to perfect. They see them as homes. And when you care for a home, you don't abuse it. You maintain it. You notice when something feels off. You respond with patience instead of punishment. That mindset alone creates a foundation for longevity and vitality. Honoring the body starts with listening, not the loud voices of trends or comparisons, but the quiet signals that surface when a woman slows down. Fatigue, tension, hunger, restlessness. These aren't inconveniences, they're messages. Women who stay youthful don't ignore those messages until they turn into pain. They respond early. They rest when they're tired. They move when they feel stagnant. They nourish themselves without guilt. There's a deep spiritual intelligence in the body that often goes unacknowledged. Long before the mind understands something, the body knows. It tightens around danger. It relaxes around safety. Women who trust this intelligence develop a relationship with themselves that is rooted in safety. And safety is essential for healing. When the body feels safe, it repairs, it regenerates, it slows the internal processes that accelerate aging. Modern research confirms what ancient wisdom always suggested. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and disconnection from bodily needs speed up biological aging. But when a woman prioritizes rest, quality nourishment, and mindful movement, she sends a different signal to her system. Not urgency, not threat, but care. Over time, that care changes how the body responds to time itself. Movement for these women is not punishment, it's communication. It's how they remind themselves that they're alive. Whether it's walking, stretching, dancing, or simply breathing deeply, movement reconnects them to their physical presence. It keeps energy flowing. Stagnation, physical or emotional, leads to stiffness, and stiffness ages. Fluidity keeps joints supple, but it also keeps the spirit flexible. Sleep is another form of reverence. Women who honor their bodies don't glorify exhaustion. They understand that rest is productive. During deep sleep, the body repairs tissues, balances hormones, and clears metabolic waste from the brain. Skipping rest doesn't just cost energy, it costs youth. Women who look younger often protect their sleep fiercely. They don't apologize for it. They understand that a rested body carries a different kind of light. There's also a gentleness in how these women speak to themselves. The internal dialogue matters. Constant self-criticism creates stress responses just as real as external threats. When a woman replaces harsh self-talk with compassion, her nervous system responds. Heart rate slows, muscles relax. The body feels less under attack. Over time, that inner kindness shapes how she looks and feels. Food, too, becomes an act of respect rather than control. Women who honor their bodies don't eat to numb or to punish. They eat to sustain, to enjoy, to nourish. They understand that pleasure and health are not enemies. That eating well isn't about restriction, but about listening. That relationship with food supports balance rather than obsession, and balance is sustainable. There's something deeply grounding about inhabiting the body fully. Many people live in their heads, planning, worrying, replaying. Women who stay youthful learn to drop back into their bodies. Through breath, through touch, through sensation, this embodiment brings them into the present moment. And the present moment is where healing happens. The body doesn't live in yesterday or tomorrow. It lives now. Honoring the body also means accepting change. Bodies evolve. They carry stories, scars, lines. These women don't wage war against those changes. They witness them with respect. Not resignation, but acknowledgement. That acceptance reduces internal conflict, and internal conflict creates stress. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows energy to flow where it's needed instead of being wasted on resistance. Pain is treated with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of immediately silencing it, these women ask what it's pointing to. Is something being overused, neglected, ignored? That dialogue prevents small issues from becoming chronic ones. It also fosters trust. When the body knows it will be heard, it doesn't have to shout. There's a spiritual dimension to this relationship that transcends belief systems. It's the recognition that the body carries every experience, joy, grief, love, loss. It remembers even when the mind forgets. Honoring it means honoring your own history. And when a woman honors her history, she stops trying to outrun it. That peace settles into her posture, her movement, her presence. Women who treat their bodies as sacred don't seek perfection. They seek harmony. They understand that pushing beyond limits occasionally is part of growth, but living there is destructive. They find the balance between effort and ease. That balance preserves vitality. It keeps the system resilient rather than brittle. Touch becomes intentional, whether it's a warm shower, a stretch before sleep, or a moment of stillness with a hand on the heart. These small acts signal care. Touch releases oxytocin, a hormone linked to bonding and stress reduction. These physiological responses aren't abstract. They influence how the body ages. Regular experiences of care counteract the wear of daily demands. Breath is another gateway. Shallow breathing keeps the body in low-level stress. Deep, conscious breathing tells the nervous system it can stand down. Women who honor their bodies use breath as an anchor. In moments of overwhelm, they return to it. This simple act recalibrates the system. Over time, it builds resilience. There's also wisdom in knowing when to seek support. Honoring the body doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means recognizing when help is needed. Medical care, body work, therapy, guidance. Seeking support is an act of respect, not failure. It prevents neglect from becoming damage. These women often age differently because they're not disconnected from themselves. Disconnection leads to neglect. Neglect leads to breakdown. Connection leads to maintenance. Maintenance leads to longevity. It's not complicated, but it requires consistency. You can see the result in how they move through the world. There's ease in their gestures, presence in their gaze, a sense that they are fully inhabiting their lives. That embodiment gives them a grounded confidence. They don't rush. They don't apologize for taking up space. They stand comfortably in their own skin. Honoring the body as a spiritual home also changes how a woman relates to pleasure. Pleasure is no longer indulgent or earned, it's informative. It tells the body what feels good, what feels nourishing. This guidance helps choose experiences that replenish rather than deplete. That discernment preserves energy. The body thrives on rhythm, regular meals, consistent rest, gentle routines. Women who look younger often have rhythms that support them. Not rigid schedules, but dependable patterns. These rhythms create stability. Stability allows the body to invest energy in repair rather than constant adaptation. There's humility in recognizing that the body has limits. Honoring those limits isn't giving up, it's partnering with reality. When a woman stops pushing past exhaustion out of pride or fear, she prevents burnout. Burnout leaves marks that are hard to erase. Prevention is quieter, but far more powerful. Over time, this respectful relationship accumulates. Small acts of care compound. The body remembers being treated well. It responds with resilience, with strength, with a quiet glow that doesn't come from denial of age, but from cooperation with life. A woman who honors her body doesn't just look younger. She feels at home in herself. And that sense of being at home, rooted, safe, present, is what people recognize when they say she has something special. Something that time hasn't taken. At the end of all of this, it becomes clear that youth is not something a woman chases, it's something she cultivates. It lives in the choices she makes every day, in how she aligns with life instead of fighting it, in how she commits to purpose, protects her peace, notices joy, and treats her body as a place worthy of care and reverence. Time will move forward no matter what. That part is not negotiable. But how time touches a woman, that's shaped from the inside out. When she lives with intention, her energy stops leaking into resistance and regret. When she knows why she's here, her spirit stays awake. When she guards her peace, her nervous system learns safety. When she practices gratitude, her heart stays open. When she honors her body, her life has a strong, grounded home. This is the quiet truth behind women who seem ageless. Not perfection, not denial, not luck. It's presence. It's respect for self. It's the courage to live consciously in a world that rewards exhaustion and noise. And the most powerful part is this: none of it is reserved for a certain age, background, or season of life. These are not traits you're born with. They're practices you choose, moment by moment, breath by breath. Because real youth isn't measured by what the mirror reflects. It's revealed in how fully, how gently, and how honestly a woman chooses to live.